Hey guys, back in the studio today with the green JL from our other video that was why you need adjustable control arms. Today though, I wanted to focus on one of my favorite upgrades for the non-Rubicon Wranglers. So we all know the pain of disconnecting before going off-road. If I don't have an easy way to disconnect my sway bar, I leave it connected and then I just don't have the travel I need. I get stuck, I'm stubborn. Then if you do have sway bar disconnects, you have the pins, you have tying them up out of the way so they're not flopping around, hitting, banging, and beating anything else up. But ideally you have a Rubicon and you just hit a button on your dash and that solves that problem. But for those of us that didn't buy a Rubicon, we can do this upgrade and I'll walk you through it. So what we have here is a conversion kit. This one's made by Evo Manufacturing. And all this does is replace the electronic actuator portion here with a manual knob. It's a very simple upgrade, I'll show you. But once we have that installed, we can slap it on this Jeep, and when we go off-road, we just turn the knob all the way in. That disconnects us. When we're ready to reconnect, we turn that knob out, and we don't have to sit there and flex it up and down and make sure it actually reconnects. There's a spring that has pressure on the actuator, and when it's lined up, it'll reconnect. I also realized there is a cost difference between just buying sway bar disconnects and buying a Rubicon sway bar. This has become a more popular upgrade, so they still go for a pretty penny. You can get them for around 100 all the way up to like $400 or $500. I've seen them all over the place. Now, I want to show you why we use our end links with this upgrade, because when you are disconnected, your sway bar still cycles with the rest of the suspension. But if you go with the Crawl Series end links on this upgrade, it allows everything to be smooth and function and still cycle properly, give you that full flex and range of motion of being completely disconnected without actually having your end links disconnected. All right, let's get this modded. It's 3 bolts. We'll get this set up, make sure the actuator works, and then we're gonna slap it on the Jeep and show you how it works. So we're gonna do the conversion. You have your electronic actuator here. You need a 15mm wrench. We're pulling this out. There is one washer that comes with the kit for spacing. You need to make sure that goes in the right way. And then you do need to check that your actuator works and functions. This one looks like it's in pretty good shape and fairly new, but if it doesn't, you will wanna take that apart and WD-40, oil, clean, check everything. Make sure that actuator is actually moving. Otherwise, you will not have, a working setup. Okay, that came apart really easily. Granted, some of the ones you're gonna find are gonna be pretty old and beat up, but really there's not much to it. Now that we have it apart, I kind of wanted to explain in more detail what we're doing. So when you hit your button, if you have a Rubicon, on your dash, this activates. It pushes against, in there, there's what looks like a pin. Now that's connected to a collar that slides on and off the ends of these 2 separate pieces of the sway bar. So there's a spring in the back here that keeps that collar engaged. So when it's fully engaged, the collar has unique teeth that overlap on both ends of the sway bar. So that spring puts pressure, and as soon as they line up, that collar engages and your sway bar is fully locked. Now we're just replacing that actuator with this. So as we turn this in all the way, this spring is gonna put enough pressure on that pin, which is connected to the collar, to allow it to slide off the shaft and disconnect. Now that I have this apart, I'll show you how to check to make sure your pin slides good and your collar engages and disengages. So I just got a bolt here. We're just gonna push on this, and as long as it disconnects easily, we should be good to go. Oh yeah, see how that went in? But the sway bar's twisting on me now. Now we're disconnected. So now I can fully rotate. Now if I go back to equilibrium, where the sway bar is flat and connected, the spring is putting pressure on that same collar back this way, and it's holding pressure until everything lines up. So I'm going to twist it, and you'll see that pop right back out. Here we go. Just like that. Okay, now we're about to install our manual knob here. Now it's important, this washer that comes with it, this goes in right on top of that actuator. It's just an extra spacer. It's something that the spring can sit against. Want to make sure it's flat and seated down inside. Okay, now we're going to put on our actuator. Make sure you're lined up the right way. We're going to get our bolts in. Okay, there we go. We got the manual knob installed. We are ready to throw this on the Jeep. Let's get it in the air. Stop talking, get to it. We got our factory non-Rubicon sway bar, which is one solid piece of steel. And if you've never seen these side by side, this is where the disconnect is. And we've got our upgrade. So out with the old, in with the new. We're gonna pop off these end links just so we don't have to deal with them on the Jeep. All right, guys, it's as easy as that. Install's done. This is something you can do in your driveway very easily. You don't need a lift. The lift makes it nice, but this is a driveway install all day long. We got the end links in. You'll notice that we're a little cockeyed, and that's caused that full droop, which we are right now. This track bar is pulling the whole axle this way, so things are gonna be off a little bit. But the most important thing is we got our manual disconnect here. So we are fully connected right now because the knob is all the way out, meaning there's little pressure on that sleeve that engages both ends of the sway bar. To disconnect, and we'll show you outside, you're gonna fully turn that knob all the way in. We're gonna back that out because we're gonna go flex this out with the forklift connected and then again disconnected. All right, we got the Jeep up. It's about to lift passenger rear tire off, so this is about all we get. As you guys know, this is fully connected, so you can see we're not really twisting up on the front. There's a little bit, but you're shifting the whole body, and this forces you to tuck your tire back here. Now, when we disconnect, the body's gonna roll more, which is what we want in certain off-road scenarios to get better flex. But I'll show you how easy it is to disconnect. Now, even before we go down, we're just gonna turn this knob all the way in. That way there's that preload on that collar. And as soon as we come back to equilibrium, that's gonna disconnect and pop that collar out. So, here we go. Okay, I heard it. There we go. All right, night and day difference. Dylan, throw up the side-by-side on the screen. But it's just as easy to reconnect. So we're gonna disengage this even before we go down. We'll take the pressure off that collar. As soon as we get back to equilibrium, it's gonna re-engage, and it's just like having a Rubicon sway bar. So go all the way out, and we go down. I didn't hear it, but we'll hear, we'll see. See, I didn't even have to do anything. It's working beautifully. Let's go do an outro. Right, Dylan? All right, guys, that wraps it up for the Rubicon sway bar upgrade on all the non-Rubicon models. Now, everything you saw here can be done on the JK, the JL, like we did, or the JT, if you just don't want to be disconnecting end links and dealing with the hassle of pins and strapping them up. So, plenty of reasons to go this route and do a manual upgrade. Perfect for us that didn't buy the Rubicon and just want to be able to disconnect easier. So, this comes in the manual knob one like we did, as well as an air actuated version. So if you have onboard air and you want to run a solenoid and a button in the cab, you can have the full Rubicon experience without getting locked in at high speeds. So you will need a good set of end links so everything will be smooth in your suspension cycle and won't limit you when you are connected. And as always, I will link everything down below, the mod kit, the air actuated version, as well as the sway bar end links we used in the video. And if you have any questions, concerns, comments, If you want to see a mod that you haven't seen on the channel, let me know. I'll try to get to it. And as always, like, comment, subscribe. That really helps me out in what we're doing, and I'll catch you in the next one.